Welcome back to episode 182 of the ATD Baseball Podcast. We are back once again. We have all kinds of different topics as we continue to march forward here in the month of May, and we are getting to, and I think in like a week or two, I think every team will have played 50 games. So you kind of getting to that kind of the quarter way done with the season already, which is kind of crazy to say, but um, we got topics that we want to discuss, but before we get into everything, of course, Kyle, how are you doing today? And before you answer that, I should have said this from the beginning. Happy belated Mother's Day to everybody out there. I hope you enjoyed a day with your mother. I certainly did. Now I was working, but I was still able to make the most of I could, and we went out Saturday, so we were able to, have a day. So, um, happy Mother's Day to everybody. Shout out my mom. I know Kyle, you're gonna do the same, but shout out my mom. Love you. I'm glad she had a good day, and we took care of her. We took care of
Absolutely. Moms are the real ones, man. I
her. Heck
mean,
yeah.
Kevin Durant said it best all those years ago. You're the real MVP. Moms are, just you just can't say enough about them. Moms are amazing in their own ways and yes, happy Mother's Day to my mom in particular. If it wasn't for my mom, I don't know where I'd be. So, much appreciation and gratitude towards her. Um, Mello, your mom as well. Absolutely. I hope she had a fantastic Mother's Day.
Same to yours.
Um, absolutely. Yeah. Happy Mother's Day to all of you guys who tune in and listen to our content on a daily basis. So, yeah, we had a fantastic Mother's Day. Got to spend the whole day with her, which was huge. Yeah, man. Absolutely.
I'm doing well. It's funny. I mentioned it to you last week that, there's a very good chance when I come back in here in a week that the Lakers are going to be down 0-3 to OKC and their season's going to be on the line tonight. Well, that's exactly what happened. They're down 0-3, game four's tonight, and I have absolutely no more hope. I think I came to peace with it after they lost Saturday. I'm like, yeah, this is not happening. But I mean, I didn't think. I mean, listen, I didn't think they were gonna win the series, but I'm a Laker fan. I want to be delusional. I'll fall into the bait and everything. But, yeah, I wish I could go more in depth of what I would want from this franchise going into the summer. But of course, this is not the platform for that. But, anyways, had a good weekend. Um, Dodgers, Jesus man, just continue to just play some not bad baseball. It's kind of boring. It's kind of boring
Yeah.
baseball, I guess. But again, it's May. I'm not going to complain. And there's one thing I want to show you before we continue going any forward with this. You know how I love my props and all my little stuff. So I got something to show you here. This is very exciting. So much so that I even have to take my hat off for this.
Oh, there we go.
Shout,
There we go.
shout out my buddy Andrew, who I work with at Dodger Stadium. He went to Universal. He didn't go to the like. Okay, so again, if you're not from LA, before you go to Universal, you got to go through like this little. It's a place to like there's restaurants and of course the camera's going off again. There's cameras and I mean there's restaurants and shops. It's like a district and stuff. It's called City Walk. So it's pretty much like you
Hmm.
walk through there and like if you don't want to go to the theme park, you can go to that. So um they have a unit. That's where they have the Dodger store. It's actually very, very famous because it's been there for a while. So my buddy Andrew was able to snag me one of these, and of course the freaking camera's bugging out right now, so you can't really see it that well. But um, shout out to him. He was able to get me one. So now anytime Yoshinobu Yamamoto is pitching, I'm gonna be taking this with me because obviously, yeah, it's Yoshi, the guy from the Mario franchise, but it's also Yoshinobu Yamamoto with his nickname. So I just had to share that with you. So that was really cool.
That's
Shout out my buddy Andrew. So it's kind of big. I didn't realize it was that big, but the nose was kind of more in the way. But anyways, I love it and I can't wait to wear it. But anyways, let's get into the topics at hand here. We've got, of course, another sad, unfortunate passing. We got Bobby Cox that happened Saturday morning. We got some injury news. I got Carlos Correa out for the year. We got Framber Valdez suspended, and I think that's going to lead to a bigger conversation here. And then we have Yankees. We got Yankees Dodgers recap, of course, and then we have a couple. We have a DFA with Alek Thomas, and we have a trade with Patrick Bailey. But we'll start here with the passing of Bobby Cox. That was Saturday morning, I believe, when the news broke out. Very sad. Of course, the longtime manager of the Atlanta Braves, and I think you mentioned it when we um, before we pressed on here. He was the manager for 30 years. That's
20
in. Go for it. Sorry.
yeah, he managed 25 years with the Braves and then 5 years with the Toronto Blue Jays, or 3 years with the Toronto Blue Jays. It equaled out to a total of 29 managerial years. 25, yeah, 25 with the Braves, 4 with the Blue Jays.
That's
But yes,
insane.
basically 30 years. I mean, it was a very long career.
That's insane, and of course his resume speaks for itself. A bunch of AL East division title wins with the Braves. Of course, that 1995 championship he was a part of, and he even after he wasn't managing, like he was still seems like part of the organization for a while there too. And I heard a lot of tributes. Freddie Freeman, of course. I heard from Andrew Jones, but it sad news. And again, you mentioned it before we first recorded. Man, we keep losing these legends, man. It's insane. We keep broadcasters, media people, and managers. And rest in peace, Bobby Cox, of course. But another sad day for the baseball world. But it was cool to see all the tributes from a lot of former Braves players, guys, lifers, like Chipper Jones, guys like that. Andrew Jones, hearing from Freddie Freeman, that was really cool. But a lot of positives to take away from all the little stories and tributes I heard from all the players. So that's as even forget being a manager, just as a human being, that's all you want, right? It's like when people are talking about you in past tense, you would like to think it's positive, and he was a kind person, loving person, and it seems like that's how it was with Bobby Cox. It was more than just baseball. It seemed like with a lot of some of these tributes that were coming out over the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. This is yet another very sad passing along in the baseball world, and again, we've been going through this for like the last year, dude. I mean, all the way back to Pete Rose, and well, almost 2 years ago at this point. Like it's been one after another. It feels, and dude, my heart aches, man. It's one after another, and it's starting to get into the guys that we know. Now, Bobby Cox, obviously he was at the end of his career while we were growing up and things, but I remember the name, man.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Everybody knows Bobby Cox. It's again, some people are bigger than baseball, and Bobby Cox was one of them. I mean, we talked about it last week with John Sterling and the guys like Vin Scully and excuse me, and just these guys they're just so much bigger than baseball, and they become household names, and they become just such a part of your life. And Bobby Cox is, let me read you some of the reasons why he became such a household name and became bigger than baseball. Well, I'll just starting right off, he was the best. A lot of people have said, including the Atlanta Braves, he was the best manager to ever put on a Braves uniform. Led the Braves to 14 straight division titles, 5 National League pennants, and the unforgettable World Series title in 1995. Um, Again, it'll never be matched. I mean, just to read you off some more, he took a last place team in June of 1990 and led the Braves to a worst first finish in 1991, losing the World Series to the Minnesota Twins in 7 games, which was the start of where his 14 consecutive division titles came from. Yeah, he retired from the Braves after 25 years. I'm sorry, he managed the Braves for 25 years and led Atlanta to the first world title in 1995, retired after the 2010 season, and of course was inducted to the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2014. He was elected by the expansion era committee. He was voted in on 16 out of the 16 ballots. Um, he's fourth all time with 2,504 wins, fifth with 4,508 games, first with 15 division titles, including the record 14 in a row. First with 16 playoff appearances and fourth in 67 playoff victories. Only Connie Mack, John McGraw, Tony Lusa had more regular season wins than Bobby Cox. I mean, the list goes on, man. He's a four-time manager of the year, five-time pennant winner, one-time World Series, and of course, just like I had mentioned, in the uh, he's in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Listen, I there's not much more I can say about him. I mean, he was an absolute workhorse in the sport of baseball. You know, he was one of those old timers. First one out of the dugout with his spikes on, full uniform. You know, that's the kind of guy you want managing your ball club. And it's a sad day, man. My thoughts and condolences with his family. And Bobby Cox, you led a hell of a life, man, and you will not be forgotten. Just like the rest of these guys that we talk about every single time. You won't be forgotten. You're immortal when it comes to baseball. So um, rest in peace, Bobby Cox.
Absolutely, very well said. Going to some of these other topics here. Um, Carlos Correa out for the year, needed ankle surgery. That was a big hit to an already depleted Astros team and start to their season. That's the last thing that you wanted something like this. And it's actually funny, the not funny, but you know what I'm trying to say. But um,
Yeah,
there was rumors going around during the offseason. I think that the Astros were trying to trade Isak Paredes and kind of
yeah,
clean up some of their crowded infield. Now they kind of need him, so to play here. But it sucks. Like I said, the Astros, barring some type of which they're capable of. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility, but they're 11 games under 500. Now the thing that helps them is that they're only 5.5 out of first place, just because everybody outside of the A's in that division is under 500, and even then, the A's are only like 2 games over 500 in first, so it's not anything crazy. But um, man, so far, and like I said, we're about to approach like the 50-game mark. It's pretty much been a season to forget if you're a fan of the Houston Astros, and the Carlos Correa injury news is um, no exception to that. And again, it kind of goes back to what this whole issue we had um with the insurance problems with some of these players at the WBC. Remember, Carlos Correa was not a part of that team, and a big part of it was because he couldn't get insured because of past injuries. Well, look at what happened 40 something games into the season. So again, maybe these, it looked bad at the time, and of course, selfishly as fans, we wanted all the best players to play for their country. Maybe the Astros knew something that we really didn't. It's like, hey, like your injury history, and then look what happened 40 games in. But again, it sucks for the Astros. Injuries suck as part of the game, but um, so far, man, just a season to forget for the Houston Astros, really.
absolutely. Yeah, Carlos Correa obviously out for the year. This is tough news for the Astros. I mean, you kind of mentioned it where they were in the standings. I mean, again, on a good note, 5.5 games out. That's nothing to scoff at. You can very easily climb your way back in. But if I'm being honest with you, when I'm looking at this Astros injury list, man, you got Carlos Correa out for the season, like we're talking about. You have Josh Hader on the 60-day IL. You have Jeremy Pena rehabbing a grade one right hamstring strain, expected to actually start his rehab assignment somewhat soon. You have Hunter Brown out, Christian Javier, Bennett Suisa, and you have Yiner Diaz, Joey Loper Fido, and top prospect Walker Janik all on the IL. That is huge. That's dude. I don't know, man. That's tough for the Astros. That's really tough, and it begs me to my next question. What do you? How much long term success are you going to have with this group of guys right now? I think that's a question that the front office and Dana Brown has to answer. Because when you look at this, you got an absolute dog balling out for you right now in Jordan Alvarez. Do you pick up the phone for him? That's all I'm saying. Because listen, at this point, the Astros are clearly past their prime. From haunting my our two favorite teams plus the rest of the American League. Are we past that? That's a question to ask, and I personally think we are past that. This team has kind of gone into a retool. I don't want to say rebuild. It's more like a retool. So I don't know, man. It's tough though. Correa just adds to the list, and Correa is not getting any younger. Any younger. We obviously know the free agent debacle he went on a few years ago. He signed with the Mets. They didn't like his medicals, so they let him go elsewhere. He signed with the Giants, same thing, and then that's how he ended up in Minnesota. So we don't know what this is going to look like for the rest of his career. Are we done seeing the prime of Carlos Correa? I don't know, but Jose Altuve is getting older. Um, is it time to start building in the a new young core? Is it time to trade Jordan Alvarez? Is it time to trade some of your big pieces that are producing this year? Because if I'm being honest, man, when I'm looking at this division standings, I don't think the Angels are a better team, but the three other teams in front of you, they are. You have the Athletics, you have the Rangers, and you have the Mariners, all better teams than the Houston Astros. So is it time to ask that question? I don't know, but it sucks for Carlos Correa. He's out for the rest of the season. I'm sure he's beginning his rehab and figuring things out to be ready to go for depending on what happens in the lockout for next season. So,
Good
hopefully
luck.
he, yeah, hopefully he has a speedy recovery and he's ready for spring training next year. But we'll see, man.
Yeah, we shall see. Getting to the next topic here. Oh, Framber Valdez getting suspended. And
Yeah.
last week, that was crazy. And, there was a lot of people kind of wondering, like, man, like the contract he got, it wasn't, I think, what everybody expected. Well, then clearly, because of stuff like this, is kind of why his probably value diminished a little bit. And not even the same week as Tarek Skubal has to have
Hmm.
surgery and he's gonna be out. Now I know the optimistic thing was, hey, and that was your typical Scott Boras. Hey, no, everything's fine. I still want my player to get $500 million at the end of this season, but the timetable was like 2 months, 2 to 3 months. But then he came out and said, well, maybe they're optimistic. It could be 4 to 6 weeks. You're missing your star pitcher, the ace, the leader of this rotation. So you got to lean on somebody like Framber Valdez to kind of take over that role. And then what does he do? He gets upset because what, a couple guys took him deep and he had a bad start, and then he plunks Trevor Story right in the back, and then an altercation happens, and then next thing you know, the next day he gets suspended. Like that's just that's just not being a good teammate. It's not being a good teammate. That's not being a good person. Like, come on, man. Like, you've got to put your ego aside for a second. Like, the Tigers need these starts, especially now that you're missing your star pitcher. I didn't like it. I think if your other teams that missed out on Framber Valdez, I'm sure they were feeling a lot better about themselves over the weekend and after that incident happened. But just selfish. That's the number one word I came away with after that. Selfish. You've got to put the team first in front of your feelings, man. Like, come on. It's just it was a bad PR week for Framber Valdez. Let's put it like that. And then um, even AJ Hinch got suspended too for a game. So I don't know. Can I have my pick back? I picked Tigers, Mariners in the ALCS, and both of them have actually been very underwhelming to start this season. I want my pick back.
They have, man. But yeah, on Framber Valdez, dude, this is the kind of game that he plays, unfortunately. And this is something that very clearly went into his offseason and what kind of happened there and why he ended up in Detroit. I will say though, why couldn't have this have happened? Like this is let me rephrase that. This has happened at the worst possible time for the Detroit Tigers because again we talked about it last week and it's funny because as soon as we said Tarek Skubal, I remember coming out and saying, well, you know what, you have Framber Valdez to back you up. This is why you signed him because if anything happens to your prized ace, you have a formidable starter in Framber Valdez to take that ball every 5 days. Well, guess what? Now he's missing his start because why? Because he got pissed. Dude, come on, man. That's again, it goes into what you were saying. He's never really been that team first kind of guy. And it happened against the Yankees when he intentionally hit, I believe it was Trent Grisham for some odd reason. And then, of course, we all know what happened when he took his frustration out on his catcher. Now, there was no bad blood there, but dude, everything points to that way. And when you look at it, it's kind of the same way. It ended up in, okay, so his final line, he had 3 strikeouts, 9 hits, 7 earned runs across 3 innings. Yeah, he got lit up, man. But here's the thing, everybody gets lit up. I don't give a shit if you're Paul Skeens, if you're Tarek Skubal, if you're Blake Snell, Yoshinobu, if you're Yamamoto, if you're uh, freaking Max Fried,
Shohei
Zach
Otani.
Wheeler.
It never happens to him, however, though, so we don't have to worry about that.
That's crazy. But it happens to all of these guys. The best pitchers in baseball have these kind of moments where they do get lit up and where they do get absolutely hammered, and it's okay. That's fine. You're human. But when you take it out on the other team like this, even though, and listen, I don't like Boston, but I'm backing Boston up here because they, listen, they put bat to ball and they put belt to ass on Framber Valdez that on that start, and it happens, man. You can't go out there and throw it at Trevor Story like that. You're gonna get suspended, and you're not gonna help the team. And why I say this is at a really bad time because I'm looking at the MLB standings right now. You're in third place in the AL Central, 19 and 22. First off, you're underperforming. You're 1.5 games back. You're a half a game back of Chicago, the White Sox, and you're a game and a half back on the Cleveland Guardians. This division is very winnable. You have your you have the Cleveland Guardians in first place at 500 ball, 21 and 21. And if Framber Valdez makes his next start, hey, maybe that's a win. And guess what? That propels you even farther. But we don't know how long Tarek Skubal is going to be out. So the rest of this team, and Kerry Carpenter just got put on the 10-day IL.
Right.
I'll also mention that. So you're missing pieces out of your lineup on top of missing your 2 top starters. This is a terrible time, especially, excuse me, when the White Sox are playing really good ball and the Kansas City Royals, hey, listen, man, they're 7-3 in their last 10. They could jump you here. 6-4 for the White Sox, 5-5 for the Guardians, and then 5-5 for the Twins in fifth place. But again, you could get jumped here, and by our next episode, you could be in fifth place in the AL Central. That's all I'm saying. So it's like, Framber Valdez has never really been a team guy, and it kind of sucks. But we'll see where it goes. But it was obviously, you got suspended, dude. It was deserved. You can't be doing that. So now you're gonna hurt the team with not making your next start, and you already don't have Tarek Skubal making his next however many starts in the foreseeable future. But it sucks, man. It really does suck, especially for Detroit fans. They they got pulled in the last 2 years, and they're like, "Yo, our team's good again." And then you go out and sign a guy like Framber Valdez, and you're like, "Yo, let's go." You pair him with Tarek Skubal, hell yeah. And now Detroit fans are here, third place in one of the worst divisions in baseball, and you can't seem to get over the hump. And now something like this happens. It's tough, man. It's a really tough break.
Selfish, completely selfish. Um, Patrick Bailey. As a Dodger fan, I'm gonna keep my Dodger hat on for a second. I absolutely love the horrible start from the San Francisco Giants this season. I think one of us took them to be a playoff team. I think I'm
That
not
would
sure.
be me.
Yeah,
It's me.
yeah,
I
because
was
it
big
was.
on him this
Yeah. Um. Now I'm not exactly off the hook myself either because I think I said they'd be in a playoff spot to
year.
start September. Now Of course, as I say that, the Giants are coming into Dodger Stadium for a 4-game series. I watched them completely kick the shit out of my team this week. But kind of stunning trade. Not kinda. It is a stunning trade with Patrick Bailey. Traded him away to the Guardians in exchange for Matt Tugboat McKilston. I think that's how you say it. Probably not, but 29th,
Well,
yeah, 29th overall pick. Kind of stunning. Kind of really, really interesting. And I think for the first time really in his tenure, a lot of Giants fans are starting to turn on Buster Posey a little bit.
hmm
They're not happy with this trade, and they're not happy with some of the things that are going on with the Giants. And it's Bob Nightingale, so once again, take it with a grain of salt.
hmm
But there was a rumor floating around there that the Giants might be picking up the phone
Yep.
on Rafael Devers.
Yep.
Not even a base 1 year into the trade. Unbelievable. But shocking trade out of San Francisco. I don't get it at all. Um, from the little things that I've heard and read, it seems like Buster Posey really didn't want him there anymore, which is kind of funny because they're both catchers, and obviously Posey's one of, if not the greatest catcher in the organization. Um, yeah, I don't get the sense of direction that the Giants have right now. As a Dodger fan, I absolutely love it, but of course, as a fan of the team and if I mean a fan of the sport, it's not good. The Giants are one of those teams that baseball's better when the Giants are good, and especially if you can have the Dodgers and Giants good at the same time, even better. And I think this was supposed to be one of those years that hey, the Giants are not on the Dodgers level, of course, just because of the amount of money the Dodgers spend and all the winning they've done in the previous 2 seasons, but they were supposed to be more competitive this season so far. And these Giants Dodger matchups were supposed to kind of revamp this rivalry that has been missing over the last 10 years, 10 almost 15 years now. And so far the Giants haven't done their end of the deal. And to me it's super frustrating. And I know Giants fans are not happy either because I'm sure they're tired of finishing 82 and 80 and missing the playoffs, but I didn't get this trade at all. But maybe the Giants maybe just start to tear it down slowly but surely. I'm not sure, but who knows?
Yeah, listen, man. I'm gonna touch on Patrick Bailey first, and then I'm gonna go to the Giants situation because I think there is an actual conversation to be had with the Giants in general. So looking at the Patrick Bailey trade, it makes sense for the Guardians, right? You're
Absolutely.
pairing two Gold Glove level catchers at your major league roster. Now, listen, Patrick Bailey, his bat hasn't come around. We all know that. But he is arguably the best defensive catcher in baseball today. And when you can get him for a pick and for a prospect, you do that any day of the week. That's a huge win for the Cleveland Guardians. Look over at the Giants, doesn't make sense to me. You're getting a pick, right? It's and listen, like this isn't the NFL. These picks are really weird. And when there's a pick traded, it's kind of like it's almost like competitive balance money where it's like, hey, we'll throw in some luxury tax money or
Exactly.
something like that. It's not really like, oh my god, dude, the Giants just I'm using the Giants traded Dexter Lawrence for the 10th overall pick. It's not like that in baseball. And in baseball, prospects are prospects until they prove anything. Well, Patrick Bailey's proved a lot, man. And honestly, I would have had Cleveland keep their pick. Give me another prospect because at least they're playing. You prospects
Right.
in Major League Baseball versus NFL or any other sport are completely different. And when you get a pick, I would almost rather international pool money than a pick. And that's just me personally. But the Giants obviously have their eyes on somebody in the draft to do this type of trade. However, onto the Giants, which I think is bigger than the Patrick Bailey trade. Dude, I'm going to come out and say I think the Giants have one of, if not the worst future in baseball.
Whoa.
And coming from coming from where I was at the beginning of the year and to seeing how it's playing out now, dude, it's a complete 180. And I don't feel confident in this Giants team at all. Now, you had mentioned Rafael Devers. You would be correct. He's making a total of $226.5 million left on his contract that the Giants are on the hook for. Not only that,
Yep.
you have Jung Ho Lee, who is making 85 million remaining on his contract. Willie Adames, 161 million remaining on his contract, and Matt Chapman, 125 million on that contract. Now, on top of this, they're trying to offload them. Well, they have not been playing good at all. And not to mention, all of these guys are arguably on the worst side of their prime. I mean, Matt Chapman's been around for a while. Rafael Devers, he's definitely been around for a while. You have Willie Adames, who's getting up there in age. You have Jung Ho Lee, which I think is
Yeah.
a really good trade piece there. I think you can get a decent amount back for him. But these other guys, you're gonna have to take on some of this money, just like you did with Boston. And looking at just like the rest of this news that came out about the whole Giant situation, this is Matthew Correa. Um, he's basically retweeting what Bob Nightingale said. So this is throughout Bob Nightingale. They may have no choice but to shop their biggest trade chip in Robbie Ray, who will be a free agent after the season, and then you have Logan Webb. However, you got to remember Logan Webb is a top of the line starter in today's league, and he's on a 5-year, $90 million contract. You don't want to move that. That dude, that's a steal nowadays. So for the
You
Giants,
build
they're in a
around him
really
and start from scratch around him.
exactly. You're in a really bad place right now, and I hate I hate
In a
dogging them.
tough division too, where the
Absolutely,
Dodgers are
and
not going to do, where the Dodgers aren't going anywhere anytime soon. I think the
yep,
Diamondbacks, I know they're kind of, they could be underwhelming at times, but still they can be a playoff team. The Padres, new ownership coming in
yep,
on top of the current pieces that they have there already.
yep,
It's basically just you and the Rockies right now. And I would take the
absolutely,
Rockies' future over the Giants right now. I think
yep,
in the long term.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And when you're looking at this Giants front office, I mean, we said it a few years ago when they missed out on Judge, missed out on Harper back when he was a free agent, we wanted the Giants to spend because although you're a Dodger fan, you made the point earlier and I agree with you 110%. Baseball is better when the Giants and Dodgers are both good playing rivalry baseball back like 2021 where, it was neck and
The
neck
division
and
came down to the last day.
it's exactly. And it's the same with like my Yankees and the Red Sox. As much as I despise the Red Sox, I want them to be good because I want this rivalry to be good. And I look at the same way with the Giants. And I feel bad for their fans, man, because we begged and pled for this team to finally spend some money and they did. Well,
On the
here it
wrong
is. They're spending
pieces.
money they're spending all this money on the wrong pieces because none of the guys who I mentioned are doing anything crazy this year. They're just not. And when you look at the MLB standings in the NL West, you have the Padres and Dodgers tied for first place at 24 and
Ugh,
16. It looks like they're going to be neck and neck. And then you have the
don't say that.
Diamondbacks at 19 and 20. And the Diamondbacks, like you mentioned, they can be underwhelming, but they can also be a scrappy team and they're calling up their top prospect. They're not wasting any time. We're going
Right.
to get into that with Alek Thomas, but they're doing all the winning moves. And then you have the Rockies, who, dude, they're a half a game back of the Giants. And the Rockies have been playing actually pretty good ball this year
Yep.
for Rocky standards. The Rockies are 16 and 25, but I feel like every time I go on Twitter, I see Mickey Moniak hit another homer and and they have some good pieces, Hunter Goodman and just the rest of those guys. So I do agree with you. I would take the future of every single NL West team over the Giants. I think the Giants are just in a really bad spot right now. And listen, if these guys start playing and playing up to expectations, I'm gonna look like an idiot for saying, and I hope that's true. I do. But with the way everything's going, dude, it just it looks like this is a bad team. It's a bad team with a big payroll. And when you pair those two, trust me, it sucks. It is not good. because then it feels like you have no future, and their farm
Look at
system
the
isn't
Mets.
anything. That's what I'm saying, man. And I still think the Mets have a better future than the Giants because listen, you got Steve Cohen over there. He'll spend the money. And it's the same, and you mentioned it with the rest of the teams in the NL West. The Padres have new ownership. They're going to spend money, and they already have a shit ton of pieces there. The Dodgers are the Dodgers. I don't need to do anything more. The Diamondbacks, they have a pretty good farm system. They have some good young pieces over there, and it's the same with the Rockies. I like what every other team in the NL West has over the Giants, and I hate to say it, I do because I want the Giants to be good. But when it comes down to it, man, I don't like where this team is at. I really don't. And then you bring a guy like Tony Vitello in. He's gotten criticism, man. He really hasn't translated that success from Tennessee over to San Francisco. And listen, it takes time. I get that. But when you're this far in the standings, fourth place, you're half a game out from the Rockies. You're 8 out from the Padres and Giants. Or I'm sorry, from the Padres and Dodgers. That's tough, man. That's tough. So I don't like the sense of direction of this team. And like I said, man, I think they have the worst future in MLB. If you're asking me on May 11th at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm saying the Giants have the worst future in baseball because of the way this team is playing and that money on the books, man. I don't and then the Patrick Bailey getting back to this topic, Patrick Bailey trading him makes no sense.
Came out of
I'm
nowhere.
sorry. It came out of nowhere and it makes no sense to me whatsoever. I don't understand the sense of direction with this team. And that Patrick Bailey trade really did get my gears moving for the rest of this topic. Because I don't like where the Giants are, man. I really don't.
Staying in the division quickly, Ryan Waldschmidt called up, of course, the Diamondbacks' top prospect, and they DFA'd Alek Thomas, who, of course, fan favorite in Arizona and was a huge part of that Diamondbacks pennant winning team in 23 that got to the World Series. Um, I get it. Makes sense. You're trying to spark the team, bring up your top prospect that's ready to go. There's no point in keeping him down in AAA and keeping him down in the minors. And if he's ready to come up, just bring him up. And I like that the Diamondbacks have done that. And let's see if that kind of sparks this team a little bit and kind of maybe tries to turn this ship around a little bit towards the top. But 23 years old, I like it. And small, very small sample size, but he's already got a couple ribbies in there and he's hitting above 350. Again, very, very small sample size. But so far, so good. And I like this move for the Diamondbacks.
Absolutely. I had some very mixed feelings on this because what really didn't make sense to me was Alec Thomas had a minor league option left.
Yeah.
You could have put him down in AAA to kind of get this thing rolling and figuring him out for this season because he was batting 181 on the year, dude. I understand the reasoning behind it, but I didn't understand why you're just DFAing him. To me, I've seen Alec Thomas play not only in Arizona but for Team Mexico in the WBC. This kid has a lot of talent, man. He does. He showed flashes of putting it all together and making that thing work. I still think he can do that, and I'm kind of shocked that he hasn't been traded yet or picked up by another team because obviously he has to go through the logistics side of things. But you can still trade a player when they're being DFA'd, and kind of shocked that Arizona hasn't pulled the trigger on a trade for him because clearly they didn't want him on the team at all because he had the minor league option left. But he showed flashes, man. He's played some damn good center field, and on top of that, he's not too far removed from his best season, which was last year. Batted 249. He had 38 ribbies. He had 108 hits, 51 runs, and he played in 143 games. I mean, and he also had 21 walks along to his credit, but it's solid, right? It's a project, and Alex Thomas is young, man. I mean, he's not. Yeah, he's 26 years old. So to me, man, like we don't know what has he given the Diamondbacks everything he has to offer. I don't think so. I think he can still be a formidable outfielder in today's game, and he can be that scrappy pain in the ass player that a lot of teams need. So it was weird to me, but I guess I understand it given where they're at in the standings and third place. Why not shake some things up? They're about at 500 at 487, 4.5 games back. I mean, you can still make some noise, and maybe this, top prospect getting called up and lighting a spark under the rest of this team, that might be what it takes, So, but for Alec Thomas, he's definitely going to have another job. It's just a matter of where.
Spencer Jones, Yankees. Floor is yours again.
Yes. Sorry. Of course, not ready whatsoever. Okay. He kind of threw me into that one. All
Sorry,
good.
I didn't mean to do that.
All good, man. Just want to make sure I get the timestamp. Anyway, yeah, Spencer Jones. I mean, I obviously made a video about it when it first came out. Why not? Why not? And what I liked about it was that Anthony Volpe is still in AAA. I thought that was hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
But when you look at this, it's again going into what I spoke on with how the Yankees have been running the ship and making things work at the major league level. Now, to me, man, I was shocked that they did it, that they finally gave this kid a chance. And listen, the Yankees have been known for letting these prospects kind of rot in the levels below, triple A, double A. And they kind of just hold on to them, and then they lose their value and they don't play well, and then you end up seeing like a Clint Frazier DFA, and it's like, oh, the whole what could have been. And I'm kind of glad they showed some urgency with Spencer Jones. Spencer Jones, I mean, again, he's 24. He's a freaking behemoth, dude. He's absolutely huge. He's about the same size as Aaron Judge. The only problem with Spencer Jones, and I've seen it in the majors already in his couple of games over the Brewers series, he strikes out a lot, dude. A lot. But again, to his credit, so did Aaron Judge. He's a big dude. It takes time for these things to kind of even out. Like I think it was Judge who batted like 160 in his rookie. I'm sorry, in 2016 before his official rookie year. In 2016, he came up, September call ups and stuff, and he was terrible, dude. And he got sent back down. He worked some things, and then he got called back up, and obviously the rest is history. So I'm glad he's getting the major league experience now. He's still with the team, which is huge. Um, I believe we play Baltimore next. But yeah, Spencer Jones, I absolutely love it. Get the kids some at bats. It was cool to see. We finally get to see what this kid's all about, and yeah, it's just I'm glad they're not making the same mistakes as they used to with like the Jason Dominguez and Clint Frazier, Miguel Andujar, Oswald Peraza, all those guys. So they're showing some sense of urgency. They're getting some guys different playing time, and if you're playing good in the minors, you're gonna get the call. Which they have not ran this team like this in a very long time. So I am very happy with where the Yankees front office is right now. Um, okay, and going over to my Yankees real quick. In the last week, yeah, it hasn't been great. I mean, so to say, they got swept by Milwaukee. They did sweep Texas, and then yeah, they also swept Baltimore. So it's been a middle of the road, and I think that's only because that Milwaukee series left a bad taste in my mouth. The team just looked bad, man, over the weekend. And listen, it happens. They're now in second place in the AL East because, again, I said this to you. I say it
Yep.
every single year. The Tampa Bay Rays are gonna be there whether you like it or not. 26-13 for the Tampa Bay Rays. A game out. 26-15 is the New York Yankees. They're 6-4 in their last 10. Yeah, man. I mean, I'd be a whole lot more harsh about this team than how I was in previous years because of the fact like the Yankees are making all the right moves. They are, and I understand that you're gonna get swept here and there. You're gonna lose a series here and there. And I'm okay with that as long as I have a sense of direction and this front office is showing me they're going all in, which is what they're doing this year. And I haven't had that in the past. So just get back on track with Baltimore. I don't have much else to say, really. I mean, the team just looked really sluggish this past series against Milwaukee. And listen, Milwaukee's a good team. They are. They remind me of the Rays in that way.
Yep.
Um, they're a good team. So uh, the thing that concerns me though is the Yankees. I think I saw somewhere they're like 1-9 against teams over 500. Clean that up a little bit. That's the only thing I got to say. Again, it's May 11th. I can't say too much. If this continues, I might have more to say next week. But overall, just get back on track and uh, and win the series against Baltimore.
Going over to my Dodgers. Kind of underwhelming weekend. I'm not gonna lie to you. They lost 2 out of 3 against the Atlanta Braves after winning um, Friday night. They took 2 out of 3 from the Astros. That was nice to see. I didn't fall into the trap of Dodgers and Astro fans complaining about 2017 all over again. It's listen, man. It's 9 years later. Like, I mean, you got it. The scars will always be there with that. But listen, I'm not gonna shout to the mountaintop anymore. Of you know, we got jigged out of it in 2017. Like we've done okay since, but thankfully I didn't fall into that Twitter trap again over the week. During those 3 game series, they open up a 4 game series against the San Francisco Giants beginning tonight. They should take care of business. I hope they do. Um, Blake Snell came back on Saturday. Was not good at all, but hey, first start back. It's okay. He'll be fine. No issues whatsoever. And finally, Mookie Betts back tonight against the Giants. Finally, I'm very excited to see Mr. Betts back in the lineup, and hopefully he can kind of help this kind of sluggish offense a little bit. They've been doing enough to win games sometimes, but they've left a lot of guys on base. Like that's the one of the main things that I've had issue with. Um, I was very anxious to see how they would look against a decent team, and wasn't great against the Atlanta Braves. They got pretty much blown out in both games. But again, we still got a long way to go. I'm not going to complain. I am concerned, though. I mean, I'm not concerned, but the Tyler Glasnow back spasms again injury was a little alarming to me last week. Now, with a guy like Glasnow, you got to slow play him. Honestly, I mean, if we don't see him until July, I'm okay with that. But um, the Dodgers have a plan. It's helped them win 2 championships in a row, so I trust them that they're gonna make sure Glasnow is completely 100% healthy before he even considers stepping back on a mound. It was good to see Blake Snell back, and I know the Dodgers lost 2 out of 3 to the Braves, but I really want people to understand and pay attention to that game they won Friday. They won it by a final score of 3-1. Emmett Sheehan was on the mound, didn't pitch great. He only pitched um, 4 and 2/3 of an inning. Gave up a ton of hard hit balls, but he only gave up a run and he struck out 7, and he did enough to keep the Dodgers in the game. And this Dodger offense, who I mentioned earlier, had been struggling coming into the series. The Braves out hit them in that game 9-5. Dodgers only had 5 hits, but they scored 3 runs, and after Sheehan was only able to give them 4 and 2/3, the bullpen completely locked it down. It was fantastic. This is why the Dodgers are going to be so hard to beat when it comes to the postseason in October. The Dodgers had a B minus B plus game at best Friday, and it was still enough to beat the Braves. They got just enough offense from guys like Kyle Tucker getting an RBI double, Freddie Freeman hitting a home run, a opposite field home run to left center to give some insurance. The bullpen was locked down, and the defense was clean, and I had no issues with it. That is why this team was so hard to beat last year, and that's why they beat the Blue Jays last year. It's like, yeah, like maybe during like the Blue Jays can get a couple games here and there, but when it comes down to getting the 4, the Dodgers are gonna find a way. And that Friday game that they won reminded me so much of that because it wasn't a big offensive night. It was only 3 runs they scored, and they only got 5 hits. And the Braves pretty much doubled them in hits, and they had a ton of hard hit baseballs. But the Dodgers played good defense. They stopped. They were able to do a great relay to keep the game tied at 1 in the fifth inning of those middle innings. So that Friday game, even though they lost 2 out of 3, I came out of that Friday first game very, very much like, okay, like it's not going to always be pretty during the regular season, but they can still find a way to win games like that. And it was just a reminder of specifically last year's World Series of why they won it and why they're going to be so hard to beat again this year. And if their offense can just hit just a little bit better, they're going to be unstoppable. But take care of business. We got a 4-game series against the Giants. Take care of business. Take 3 out of 4. Sweep. I'm gonna be honestly. I'm gonna be disappointed if we split or lose this series to the Giants. I really am. Take 3 out of 4. Sweep. And let's hit the road. But so we're tied for the Padres for first place. Not concerned about that. I'm really not. It's May 11th. Let's see the Padres competing with the Dodgers in September, in August. It's easy in May to kind of hang around and, but and then of course we still have a whole series. We haven't even played the Padres yet. I think the first time we play the Padres is not till next month. So it's fine. But I'm happy Betts is back. I'm happy Blake Snell is back. It sucks losing Tyler Glass now, but it's okay. It'll be okay. There you go. That's my Dodgers update for you. So I think that's going to do it for this episode. 182.
Yes, sir.
Unless you got anything else.
I think that's it, man.
Yeah, so I got to get to Dodger Stadium. We got a big 4-game. Well, this whole weekend has been big. We've had giveaways every single day. Friday was Miguel Rojas Game 7 bobblehead giveaway. That was cool. Saturday was the beginning of the starter series bobblehead collection. Starting off with Blake Snell. It's going to be a 4 collection. It's going to be Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow, Shohei Ohtani, and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. All of their performances during the postseason. Sunday, of course, was Mother's Day. They gave this cool little tote bag for everybody. So that was really cool. Tonight is World Series trophy giveaway, replica trophy. So that's very much looking forward to that. Tomorrow, Ice Cube bobblehead once again. It's him in a lowrider driving. That's kind of cool. And then Wednesday is gold replica jersey giveaway. So pretty much the first 40,000 can get now listen, you're not getting Shohei, Mookie, or Freddie. That's easy. There you're gonna get Miguel Rojas, Tyler Glasnow, which are all great. Don't get me wrong, they're all fantastic. But it's a random one. They give it to you, you don't know what the player is, and then you'd be amazed because last year when they did this, there was a ton of people that were fighting for that Kike Hernandez one. So I don't think he's part of the rotation this year. And then Thursday is the annual Star Wars night at Dodger Stadium, so that's always big. So it's all happening at Dodger Stadium. So I gotta run. I gotta get to Dodger Stadium. Thank you so much for watching, and Yoshi says bye. So there you go. Yeah, he's got a big nose. I don't know if you ever realized that. He's got a big nose. Yeah. I thought I had a big nose, but I don't. All right. We'll see in a week. Yeah, we'll see in a week when the Lakers are getting ready to play Game 7 against the Thunder. When the Lakers win 3 games in a row, I'll see you a week from today playing before Game 7. It's not going to happen. All right. We'll see you in a week. Adios.